That was great. Thank you, Greg. Welcome everyone to our April, I can't believe it's April, roundtable. This is the 1-year anniversary from our first virtual roundtable. So it's hard to believe that we are already, this is the 13th one of these that we do. And the team is hoping that we are going to be able to do some things in person in the coming year. So please, when you're eligible, get your shot and stay healthy. And let's say a prayer that we can be together in person soon. All right, I'd like to turn it over to Greg Stolzfus for our opening.
Thank you, Ellie. Every April, the world celebrates Earth Day. As some of you may know, Earth Day began in 1970 as a result of a growing environmental awareness in the United States. And about 20 years later, it became a global event. Now, for over 50 years, it has served to spread awareness of environmental issues. But as we're probably also all know, the study of conservational and environmental issues has been part of the Boy Scouts of America for even longer. Over the years, Scouts at all levels have participated in numerous conservation-related projects. The Outdoor Code first appeared in the Boy Scout Handbook in 1955. And more recently, the BSA has partnered with other organizations to promote awareness of our impact in the outdoors through the Leave No Trace principles. So this Earth Day, I'd encourage everyone out there just to be aware that we as Scouts, we practice protecting the environment year round. Thank you, Ellie, back to you.
Hey, thank you, Greg. For council updates, Greg Williams.
Thank you, Ellie. I'm actually going to turn it right over to our assistant Scout executive for this to get it started.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to go over some things. There are quite a few subjects, so I will try to cover them quickly. So the big thing on everyone's mind at this point in time is our pancake and syrup sale, so that all of you by now have heard about us talking about it for the last month or so, and now we are here. So for all of the details, you can go to the council webpage under support, and then there's a link there. Again, it's in the PowerPoint. A couple of things to bring out. If you do want to participate in show and sell sales, if you do want to have product in advance, you need to turn those forms in right away. The delivery date is planned to be April the 17th, so that folks can get their first batch of mix and syrup at the service center on the 17th. So that's out there. The order forms are on the site. The order form is also the commitment form. So don't let that fool you, even if you're not doing the show and sell portion of the sale and you're just doing the take order. Still do print out the order form and put your unit information on it and send it in so that we know you're participating. And when it comes time for those orders to be in, just to make sure that, we count you in that order. We do have some added products to that, a gift box, a combination of the products. So an opportunity to raise some dollars for some emerging programs. So the pancake sale. All right, we also have going on right now, Friends of Scouting. There were 20 some units that actually committed early on when they turned in their charters. Some of those commitments were for open dates. So now is the time, again, as units are emerging, to change those indefinite dates to definite dates. And we certainly have an awful lot more units than the 20 some that have committed to date. In the last 2 weeks, we've actually gotten 6 additional units to commit to Friends of Scouting. So please do. And again, same place on our website under the support tab, there's Friends of Scouting. And there is there a place to put in all the pertinent details for the Friends of Scouting presentation for your unit. Where it will be, what time it will be, all of those things. And we do ask that you use that method so that we don't miss you. So please do use the sign up form so that information is recorded and it's sent to the Friends of Scouting team and it's sent to our master record, all those things. So please do use that form. Fall popcorn. Last week, we had a review of the 2020 popcorn sale. And we looked at 3 bids for the 2021. We have a good sense of where it is that we'll be going, and we hoped we were going to be able to announce it tonight, but we can't do that tonight. Again, need to just finalize a couple of the contract details, and so certainly the announcement will be before the next roundtable. I guess that's all I can say on that. Westfield Trading Post, we have another special open day. So mark your calendars, April the 17th. So come on in. If you can't come in during our regular times, which are there in front of you. Again, we're open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Monday night includes the evening, and then special Saturday, April the 17th. All right, that's what I have on our fundraising things. So,
thank you, Art. I guess I pick up from here. So there is a lot starting to happen, which is exciting. On March 22nd, we did move into phase 4, step 1 of the Reopening Massachusetts plan. So just last week, we had some updates to our restarting scouting guidance documents. We have started renting cabins again. Units can now do that online through Tenterud themselves. They don't need our assistance in the office, although we're happy to help. And so you can do that. Use of the cabins is at 50% of the printed occupancy. So if it says 24, 12 people can be inside. Tent site occupancy used to be based on groups of 12 and then separated by 20 feet. Now it's just the ability to maintain 6 feet distance between your sleeping areas and individuals within that site, and there's no maximum number at this point in time. We have reinstated camping fees for most Scout reservation, and that is taking place now for all new cabin and tent reservations as of April 1st. We are honoring all previously scheduled tenting reservations for the month of April. So any in May and going forward, we will return to the $2 per person fee for the weekend. And anyone that may have, there was only 1 or 2 groups that had rented space outside of a cabin in the month of April. We are happy to convert that just to a tent site. We won't, if you want to be tenting, and allow you to use that area again for free. A couple things that we wanted to clarify: the pre-screening can be written or verbal. There is no need to have that printed out and people signing individual pages. Lots of groups are just doing a verbal check and then maintaining their roster for 14 days. And also, unit and patrol cooking is permitted. It doesn't have to be all prepackaged coming from home. Just think common food handling, sanitation, wash your hands, and wear a mask, and even not mandatory, but you can wear gloves while you're preparing. And the same person should be cooking, or so who's handling food serving utensil should be the same person. So it's just not buffet style or family style in that sense. And the new camp, I say new, but the Massachusetts summer camp standards have been put out. I put a link there for people that might be interested. We're looking at them now. There's quite a bit of stuff there, but camp is 3 months away, so we're expecting some changes, but starting to get some questions. So you can find that on the mass.gov site, and it's also linked in our new update documents. WOA has been amazing. We had over 130 people at WOA last month, and you could hardly tell that many people were at camp. So we encourage people to come on up. Now that in the new phase, there is no registration maximum at this point in time, unless we find our numbers getting up to several hundred. So come on out and join us for a day. We're maintaining the $10 per person rate for the time being, and you have 3 more opportunities before summer camp season. It's also nomination time, so Silver Beaver, April 30th deadline, and that can be sent into the Service Center here or directly to Joshua Hall, our advancement chair for the council. And district nominations, I haven't gotten deadlines for those yet, but District Award of Merits and other training awards can all be sent into the Service Center at this time, and we will keep the collected for you. All of those forms can be found on our forms library on our website, and the link that is there on the page. Lots of ways to get involved as well. So some of them have been there for a while. The district committee meetings. Also our work days. It is time to get Moses ready for the hundreds of people that will be coming this summer. So we invite you to come on up on the first Saturday of May and of June. And a special thank you to Troop 90, who was here in March at camp and just did a great job helping us get a lot of work done. And one of the new opportunities is Catholic Scouting Roundtable. So after the Catholic Committee on Scouting meets, they'll have an open roundtable. Anybody interested in learning more about that on April 27th. And if you're involved in any of the fund development, membership, and program committees, either at the council level or the district levels, we ask you to try to join us for our council coordinated committee meetings each month. We have an awesome group headed to Sea Base in just a few weeks, so we wish them a bon voyage and safe journeys and calm water and some wonderful weather while they're down in Florida, and look forward to some more information about upcoming high adventure programs in the coming year. I know there's a trip being planned to Northern Tier. David O'Leary is working on that, and another Philmont trip as well. So the Pinewood Derbies are coming up. They will all be virtual this year. Information has been sent directly to the Cub Masters of each of the units. Registration is online now. I know AT had actually asked for registration by April 1st, so we want to get that in because the races are next weekend for Appalachian Trail and Metacomet, and General Knox will be the following week. And then all the winners from those 3 races will be brought to our Council Pinewood Derby on May 1st. And each of the derbies will have their own patch. You see the patch there online on the screen with a loop personalized to themselves, as well as the Council Derby on May 1st. Weeblos Woods is going to be a day event June 5th. Mia Isaac is a contact for that. It's $15 a person. Registration is almost ready to go live. So PACs definitely want to start getting the registration plans for that for current bears and first-year Weeblos. And because T-shirt and extra patch deadlines are going to be April 26th, and the event registration deadline is May 21st. So everything from morning to 5 o'clock in the evening that typically happens at Weeblos Woods will continue to happen this year. Lots of training starting to come about, and I know some units are working on getting all their direct contact leaders trained. This is a focus for many of them. Of course, my.scouting.org is available for self-paced online, and the Appalachian Trail has put together a series of online trainings that will be live presented. They'll just take place via the internet. So you will have the interaction with people and asking questions. Coming up on the 17th of this month is a Merit Badge Counselor training, and then in June is Troop Committee Challenge training. And we've had a number of people realizing that some of their training has not been reported on their record. We certainly can fix that and want to fix that for you, so you can send a training card, certificate, or other information to lindsay.broder@scouting.org, and then copy myself, and we will work with you to get that corrected. In-person training, Cub Scout Baloo training is just in a few weeks with Rob Lusty up at Moses. Registration is available online. That is a Saturday and all-day Saturday and Sunday training. And for a pack to be able to go camping as a pack, at least one person on the campout has to be Baloo trained. The Scoutmaster, Assistant Scoutmaster Introduction to Outdoor Leader Skills is the following weekend. That registration is also available. And then Dave O'Leary, we don't have the registration quite up online yet, but he is doing a day event training for Leave No Trace Trainer with some online components to get that taken care of. You can reach Dave at his email there. And our youth leadership training is scheduled to take place at the end of June. The space is limited based on the number of staff available this year, and the spots are filling up. So we encourage our older Scout units to submit their registrations as soon as possible. Order of Arrow has a couple of events as well coming up. More information online for their spring fellowship, a welcome session, and their spring initiation weekend. And just looking ahead, June 7th will be our virtual program launch. And if you are involved with a district or a council committee that wants to put events on next year's calendar, we ask that you start sending your dates, flyers, budgets, or at least initial budget information, and the points of contact for those events to me before May 7th, so we can coordinate that calendar and have it ready for program launch. If you are planning any event that has an overnight component, there is a new requirement that took effect January 1st for a short-term camp administrator. So we want to get that in as soon as possible, and we'll go over some more of the information about that with you. And we are still planning a virtual annual council business meeting this year on June 24th. Just look for more information about the Summer of Service. Information was just released this past week, and you can find more information on our website as well. And summer camp, I've told you quite a bit in the past, but I just want to highlight with the new state regulations, we have put a temporary cap of 150 participants on each of the week to make sure that we're going to be able to meet the state standards. And week 3 is currently full. So we're not accepting any new units on week 3, but our hope is to determine our capacity and then allow the units that are already there and have registrations in place to be able to add additional staff or scouts and campers. And if anyone's interested in joining our staff, still accepting applications for that. One of the changes that we had to make is the second half of the week, short week program that we were going to try this week is not currently going to be permitted by the state standards. So short week will only be Sunday through Wednesday. Fortunately, nobody had signed up yet for that program. We have added a lot of new units and a lot of interest from out of Western Massachusetts Council as well. So you can see our registration numbers in the upper right corner. As I said, right now we're temporarily stopped at 150. We have quite a bit of room in week 4, but week 1 and 2 are almost full as well. So if you have additional registrations you want to enter, now is the time to do that as other units are starting to fill in. Again, we do hope to be able to increase that beyond 150 campers, but we need to do some work to verify our maximum capacity with the COVID reopening standards. And I think that's it for me. Ellie, I'll let you decide if there's time for questions or we need to move on since there was so much information.
Okay, well, we have a lot of information this evening. If anyone has questions, I would ask that you put them in chat, and then I'll that'll give Greg time to look at them and then maybe respond to them at the end of the meeting?
Perfect. Thank you
Would
so
that
much,
work,
Ellie.
Greg? Okay.
Absolutely.
Joshua, do you have anything from our council commissioner?
I'll just be very brief tonight. It's great to see everybody here tonight. The weather has started to change, which means that there are many, many opportunities for our units, Cub Scouts, Scouts BSA, crews, and so on, to get out and to make their presence known within the community. A lot of opportunities for recruitment. Greg mentioned the two other things that I was going to bring up. One is that Silver Beaver nominations are now open. So if there is somebody that you believe should be nominated for the Silver Beaver Award, which is the highest award that the council can offer to an individual, please, by all means, submit the application, and we will move forward with that after the end of the month. And the Summer of Service program that is taking place is another great opportunity for units to make sure that you have something to do, not only moving forward, but all through the summer as well. It's a great opportunity to get your name out there in the community, because there is a posting option. And so make sure that you find things to do, because there is an awful lot. So have a great day.
Sure. Thank you, Joshua. Fritz, do you have any updates regarding youth protection training?
I'll just briefly say, remember to keep your youth protection up to date. Take a look. Last time I brought this up, Cheryl said that she gets a notification from National when her YPT is about to expire, as kind of a reminder and a prod to renew that. So maybe you're in the Cheryl group and you get reminders from National, or maybe you're in the Fritz group and National never lets you know when your YPT is going to expire. So you're on your own. If you are a unit leader, chairman, or a Cub Master, or a Scout Master, or crew advisor, whatever, please look at your unit on my.scouting.org from time to time. Look at the training list, find out who needs to renew their youth protection training, and make sure that it does not expire. As usual, we had a whole lot of units that were late rechartering this year because they didn't get all their adults up to date with youth protection. So please don't let that happen to you. Make sure your leaders know what they need to do, especially toward, well, when it's about to expire. Theoretically, they're not supposed to meet with youth if they are not up to date with youth protection. So this is a very important piece of the scouting program. So please help your youth by keeping all your adults up to date.
All right. Thank you, Fritz. Cheryl, you have membership updates?
Yes, I do. Let me see if I can find my, can I ever find what I'm looking for? My PowerPoint. I had it up here. There it is. And oh, just taking me a minute to get it so it'll play for us. There we go. That was so all in for scouting. Spring. Most important thing for the spring, I think, is retention, that Webelos to Scout transition. Hopefully troops have been inviting second year Webelos, Hour of Light Cubs to visit their units. They've made relationships with pack leaders. And if not, pack leaders, reach out for troops in your area, related troops and others that are around, so that your Arrow of Light 5th graders are able to check out units with their parents, either virtually or sometimes in person, so that they can transition, cross over into a troop, and be ready for a great summer camp experience. There's also a great opportunity right now to invite any of the scouts that dropped from your charter at charter renewal time. They weren't active because of COVID, but things are opening up now. The weather's getting better. People are ready to get out and do more things. So if you had scouts, cubs, people on ships, whatever, that dropped from your unit, please invite them to return and re-enroll them so that they can continue to enjoy scouting with you. And how do we go to the next? I want to go on to my next slide, and it's not going down for me. All righty.
Cheryl, if you click the, you missed the little start slideshow button by a quarter of an inch. It's the one to the right of where you clicked.
Oh, okay.
On the bottom, under the word apply to all on the bottom right. You see, or you can go back to the slideshow menu at the top. And
I'm going to have to go back to the slideshow. I thought I had it. I thought I had it. There we go. Okay. So 5 things you can do right now. Plan your summer program. Work with your schools. Now, I know schools are just getting back into going into session again, but find if there's something you can do for the schools and pick someone from your unit that already has a relationship with the school. Be found on Be a Scout. Keep your pins updated. We're still having that situation, so make sure your Scout pin is updated. Be visible. Get out in public. And review your web pages. If you have a web page, make sure it's updated, that it's working. Recruit new members this spring. You want to grow your unit. When you grow your unit, you get new members. Those new members win a great program. Your unit has more fun because you've got more kids involved, more families involved. And we're reactivating that virtual recruiter patch. Simplified forms, you'll see that up on the website very shortly. So that we still have a few of those available, and we want to give them out to folks who are using techniques and growing their unit. Most importantly, it's spring. Get outside, get scouting, and enjoy. Thank you, Ellie. Back to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. Any district announcements, Rebecca? All right, I'm hearing is anybody else hearing a very funny buzzing sound?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It almost sounded like Dr. Mario, something going on there.
Yeah.
Rebecca, anything from AT?
That was my fault.
Oh, what are you doing? Playing Dr. Mario in the background?
No, it's my ringtone for text.
No, okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay. From General Knox, I just wanted to share a quick update on Wood Badge completions. Andy Schmidt and Lori Smith have both completed their Wood Badge tickets. For those of you who are in the Wood Badge course, we have only about another week and 3 days to go. So keep plugging away. Anything is possible. And Mike Zlogar, anything from Metacomet?
Our district meeting is this Thursday, and I expect that the spring recognition event, in whatever form it takes, would be on the agenda. I know that was something that you were interested in. So other than that, we have nothing on the front burner.
All right. And Mike, did you have a scout book tip of the month to toss in there for this month?
I do. So I'm getting, so scout book is, oh man. Let me reload here. Scout book is proving to be a very valuable asset to the troops. So we talked about having a tip of the month type of thing. So if there's anybody out there that has discovered something that they'd like to share with other leaders of how to get around in Scout Book, and some of the advantages, things that we may not have discovered. So tonight, I was going to take a quick look at the events feature. So I'm just going to go through it. So in the dashboard screen under events, this is there's a whole lot of
Did you mean to share your screen so we could see too?
I thank you, but I thought I did. Hold on a second. Let me go back. When I shared it. Okay.
Hey, make you a co-host for you to be able to share, Mike. There we go.
Yeah.
It's actually set so everybody can share.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
I had a misfire. Thank you for calling to my attention. I was having a great time here, but so under the administrative screen, creating an event. There's a lot of advantages to this. First, choosing if you got multiple units or multiple calendars, choose your calendar. It's a little tedious, but in the end, it's quite a value to some of the reports. And so I haven't figured out how to edit these and add things that may be more valuable to us. But if you have a title to the event, location, and you can add a URL, a map link if you want. And then setting the start times, typical calendar stuff. You can do this actually from all one screen, I discovered. So so then this goes to JTE and some other aspects of, so you can turn on an outdoor activity and it will automatically create in there. Now the fun part of it is over here on the right-hand side, where you can choose who goes to the event, from leaders, parents, members, and den chiefs. Going through each of the three calendars, pick whoever you want. And again, set that. One of the beauties that we found helpful is turning on the RSVP. You're wondering who's coming. If we can get everybody on, they have a choice of yes, no, or maybe. Pretty easy to get this far as long as they log in and follow their and out of this, let's see, there is a report that goes with it. The other thing it will do after the event is saved. I don't think I can do it right here. It actually creates a permission slip for each. This may kick it out. Yeah. That after it's saved, it will create the event. So you can choose your invitees. Another thing that we found really helpful is you can send out reminders on whatever schedule you want up to a month ahead, which makes it really nice. Especially, we've used it a lot with Zoom links. If they're not available until the end, you can click as many reminders as you want. And then down here, the message, like an email, we can put in whatever message you want to everybody. And then if there's only for administrative purposes, you can have an additional note that only the administrative folks come. So and you can edit this as many times as you want and tie it into advancement. So it's out there, it goes out, and as I said, it creates permission slips for each person attending. And they're all ready to go. All they have to do is be signed, printed, and returned to us. Now, and then you can edit it. So it'll generate an RSVP report. So you can either look at the screen or jump in, has all the contacts for the event. And then, let me see if I can get back to. After the event, you can go in and then record the actual attendance. Simple as just clicking off who attended. And that then goes right into the advancement records, and you can save that. And there'll be an advancement report that you can run to know when a scout or whoever, if it's a leader or a support person, you can get an up-to-date report of their attendance and their participation for activity. So it's an interesting feature, and I would recommend everybody give it a shot. It's a little tedious putting in multiple events because you have to do each one with the invitees individually, but it does work. It saves a lot of time on the end when you're looking for records for a scout, for a leader, or trying to remember what happened in an event, because you can actually add comments and notes as well. So that is the event feature in Scoutbook. We'd invite anybody from the group. If you have a tip or an experience you'd like to share about Scoutbook, we'll get you on the agenda because we're going to learn from each other on this. There's some training, but mostly it's kind of discover and share. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Because I am not attached to a unit, I just love seeing information about Scoutbook whenever it pops up. So that's great. I want to move on to our safety moments, and I need to share my screen so that, let's see, where is play from the start? Okay. So I had been asked to remind people about the pancake and maple syrup sale. You'll see that I put in the chat, this is a great idea for a Mother's Day or Father's Day gift. Those things are coming up. From the safety moments end of things, there are some new things out from National. One is a service project planning checklist. This is all about making things safe. And it is a fillable PDF, so the information for it is here on the screen. Right. The other form that has come out from National is what's called the Safe Project Tool Use, looking at supervision, assessment, fitness and skills, equipment and environment. Again, it's a fillable PDF form, and that too is available, and there's the URL for it. The other thing is, we talked about camp earlier. Greg gave us some great information. Don't forget about the links for your medical forms, okay? All scouting event medical forms, anything that's up to 72 hours in duration, and then are you going to camp, and the forms that you will need for camp. When you get to the medical forms page, there's also information for going to high adventure bases and things like that. But these are the forms that you will want to be able to access for this summer. All right. With that, we are ready to head to breakout sessions Can we go for 25 minutes, Greg? I know we're going over our typical 50-minute roundtable time tonight, but we've had a lot of vital information. And if we can go for 25 minutes in our breakouts, I would appreciate that.
So what we're going to talk about tonight is something near and dear to our hearts, and that's outdoor camping with Cub Scouts. In the grand scheme of things, is I like to tell leaders that are especially brand new to the scouting program, think of Cub Scout camping as more as car camping, because we're not talking about hiking over hills in there as we do with the Scouts PSA. It's more like hiking in a nearby area where you're near your cars, probably no more than 20 feet away, and you're either camping in tents during the really nice weather, or if you are camping in the fall, in the early winter, it's usually in a cabin. So you have to put that perspective into people's minds, especially when they're first time camping. The other thing about camping with Cub Scouts are, we have parents that come along with us. And especially if that person is brand new to camping and brand new to the scouting program, you want to make them as comfortable as possible. So make sure that coffee is readily available. Well, as all leaders, we always have coffee readily available, but have more of it this time. And then try to make it as fun as possible, because with Cub Scout camping, as I said, it relates to car camping. You can bring a lot more gear with you. So if you have parents that have griddles, nicer camping gear, you can have really nice breakfasts, really nice lunches, and really nice dinners. You can, as I said, it's not backpacking. You do not have to rely on MREs and everything else. You can be very creative with Cub Scout cooking. You can make it very nice and delightful for the parents. Remind the parents to bring a chair. Everyone likes to sit around a campfire. I actually upgraded my chairs recently to a more portable chair so I can take it around when I visit units as a commissioner, because I hated lugging around my bigger stadium chair. So you always need a comfortable chair in this day and age. The other thing is to make sure that when you're camping with Cub Scouts, you don't have to pack everything into a single bag. You can tell parents that, yeah, pack what you think your son or daughter may need and what you may need, but if you need extras, you can easily keep them in the trunk in the backseat of your car. Because as I said, we're not that far away from our cars at any given time. And I've even started doing that as a leader now, where I try not to pack everything, because I went to scouting basically packing everything into a single bag. Now I bring what I need with me. I know I'm going to use for sure. And then I rely on my foul weather gear per se, and I keep that in the trunk of my car, especially when I'm camping with Moses, because I know everything's readily available. The other thing is too, with Cub Scouts, we deal with everyone from kindergarten on up. Encourage Cub Scouts to bring a favorite stuffed animal, especially if it's their first night away from home. Keep them something comforting. A lot of adults do that automatically now, especially after we go through the Wood Badge program. We tend to keep a stuffed critter of ours. I have a stuffed teddy bear I bring around with me now, and I know I have some friends who bring their stuffed foxes and their stuffed owls and all that. So we got that covered as leaders, and you want to make sure the scout feels comfortable in doing it. And a good way of doing that is by showing that you as a leader also bring one as well. When Cub Scouts are camping for the first time, especially with their parents, recommend to the parents not to go out to the stores and buy the latest and greatest gear. You can get away with Cub Scout camping using a couple pillows and a really warm blanket. Even like, I still rely on a wool blanket I've had for years, and I keep that underneath my sleeping bag in a tent, or even when I'm in one of the cabins, and I'll use that to lay on. And I actually unzip my sleeping bag now, and I use it more of a quilt than I actually do as a sleeping bag, because it allows me to move around in the middle of the night. It's not as bad when you fall out of bed anymore, because I can actually get my arm and leg out quick enough to prevent me from falling out. Does anyone else have any other good experiences with Cub Scout camping that you can recommend?
Well, this is Mary from Pack 1849. How are you?
Hi, Mary.
Hi. One thing that we started before COVID, was at night, you know, all the kids are wound up. Some of them are scared to go to bed, and that sort of thing. So what we started doing was reading them a bedtime story, or a few books. That way there, it kind of calmed them down and kind of relaxed them. We did funny faces, we did funny voices, everything. So it was kind of cool for the kids. Even the bigger kids kind of secretly liked it. I don't think they'd ever admit it, but some of them that were staying in that room really did like it too. And it kind of relaxed the lions and tigers so that they could go to sleep at night.
There's Ellie with her stuffed bear.
This is Baloo.
Yes.
Baloo is
and
a
talk.
Cub Scout bear we've had for a while.
Another good recommendation, Mary made me think about this, and this was pre-COVID, of course. But when I used to go camping with my pack, we used to have all the kids on one side of the room and all the adults on the other side of the room. And what we did for the kids were we actually pushed all the beds together. So it actually worked out for the kids because they had some leeway, especially if they're brand new sleeping out somewhere outside their house. The kids actually rolled over into the bunk next to them, so they didn't fall out of their bed necessarily. And number two, the funny thing for the adult ears were we woke up the following morning and there was a huge blob at the end of the last 2 or 3 bunks. And that's where all the Cub Scouts ended up migrating throughout the night. And we got to one point of breakfast where we were looking around like, where's X, where was this particular Cub Scout? It turned out he was still at the bottom of the pile that we never got to. So he was still curled up in the bottom of the sleeping bag. So again, stuff like that can make kids more comfortable. Again, COVID's changed a lot for our guidelines of camping, but those are things you might want to be creative about in terms of sleeping arrangements and so forth.
We've
had,
and I've always brought a couple back that purpose to help those kids out.
And the other thing is too, especially with cabin camping, you can do movies, especially with the portability of technology now. I know with some troops and packs have done, they've done when there's like special occasions of the year, they'll do like a movie night, because most phones you can download a movie onto now. If you have a portable projector, or even if you have one of those phones now that have the portable projector as part of it, you can do movies within the cabin. So that's another way of doing it. Like I tell people, try to cut back on the if you can, don't have them do overdose on the marshmallows before they go to bed, because the sugar will keep them up all night. So again, we usually do like the chocolate and we do the s'mores, but we try to minimize it to maybe 2 per scout, so that way they're not going all sugar up and hyped. The other thing that's very important, especially now in the time of COVID, is you want to have a washing station. So they wash their hands whenever they're either waking up first thing in the morning, preparing for meals, and preparing for bedtime. Especially when you're doing outdoor camping, you don't want any critters coming up in the middle of the night and giving you a little goodnight kiss. One idea I've seen from Troop 138, and I've seen this online as well, is they have an old discarded laundry bottle with the spouts on them, and they bring them on the campouts and they fill them up with a little soap and water solution, and they have the paper towels attached to them, and that way you have a washing station for yourself right there. So even as low as we go with the Cub Scouts, you want to properly introduce hygiene to them as well, and try to make some units have gone to the point where, to make parents comfortable camping the first time, some units will actually rent a porta john to have up at the reservation. I've seen this happen a couple of times. I think Pack 164 may have done it a few times over the years. It makes them all more comfortable, because I know some of our latrines can be scary at times. They were scary when I was a kid 40 years ago, and I'm sure they're just as scary now. I like to show people where if they have to go to the bathroom, especially for camping at Guyton, we'll bring them to, we'll show them how to use the composting toilets that we use for summer camp, because they're usually open year round. They're just not equipped with paper towel. They're not equipped with cleaning supplies usually, and they're not equipped with toilet paper because they usually get eaten up over the winter. So make sure you have that as well. Make sure you bring the toilet paper. I know a lot of units make that as a stationary thing in their patrol boxes. I still do it as a scout because whenever I was a scout, we were always told, regardless of not whether or not your troop brought toilet paper, I always had a roll in my backpack. So that's become second nature for me. The other thing with Cub Scouts camping is Cub Scouts, and I've said this before because I've been a champion of using den chiefs for years, and I've done the training with the den chiefs. Is if you have a troop that you're associated with or you're friendly with another troop, see if they have any scouters that want to be interested in becoming den chiefs, because den chiefs will help a lot in campouts because they can teach the skill sets that some of the leaders may not be comfortable teaching because they just don't know it. And number two, scouts, younger scouts definitely respond to older scouts in terms of trying to corral them and so forth. Because again, I've had scouts relate Cub Scouts to a bunch of crazy cats, squirrels on the loose. So it's always helpful to have another youth leader available that can help you corral younger scouts. So does anyone have any questions about anything that we've done so far? Or any other suggestions? Let's see, what else can we talk about with Cub Scout camping that's not been talked about? You guys must have other suggestions because I know most of you guys are all experienced Cub Scout leaders at one point or another on this phone call. So, boredom, board games, yeah. Cub Scouts are great. Yeah, board games, any type of activity that will get their mind stimulated. Anything from Sync My Battleship, checkers. Even I've seen Cub Scouts play chess. So board games are great. And then try to have activities ready for them for the weekend. So, for example, a lot of units now are using the WOA program as part to supplement their weekend programs. Not all WOA activities, especially like my favorite Tomahawk, Cub Scouts cannot do yet, but there's other activities which they can be engaged in doing. So maybe scheduling something that may be happening at the camp at the same time to entertain will help. The other thing you could do, going back to the den chief, is maybe coordinate something with your local scout troop. They may be up there that weekend, and maybe that scout troop would be happy to plan some type of activities to help entertain the Cub Scouts, because within the Boy Scout program or the Scout PSA program, there are multiple merit badges where they have to do examples of EDGE training, which is the EDGE, the explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable formal training within Cub Scouts, within scouting. There's also the communication projects. They also do service projects. So always reach out to your local scout troop too, because they'll be more than willing to help you out in trying to do some activities for that weekend to keep the scouts engaged.
Yeah. A couple of things, Rob. One of the things is while they're hiking or even just walking around exploring their campsite, a themed mini hike, so that they're like a color hike or a texture hike, so that they're looking for something for each color of the rainbow, or for a set number of different textures, or an alphabet hike, something that fits with every letter of the alphabet. That can take some time, and it can get them thinking in a different way, because now they're going through the alphabet and they're having to use their imagination for what else can I call this? So that I've already got something for a C, but this is a caterpillar. What else can I call it? Kind of a thing. So those things, are always good. And the deck of cards. Some kids, it's funny. Even when my son was in high school, which was 20 years ago now, his friends family went camping, and they went to the beach. And mom took out a deck of cards and started playing solitaire. And one of the kids said, "You can do that with real cards?" So the idea of they're so used to doing things on their tablets and their phones that handling a real deck of cards and learning a new card game like cribbage or something,
The other thing is too that I've done, especially as a camp commissioner, is I usually will bring up, and this is especially good for parents too, especially if they're cabin camping, is bring an extra surge protector up there because everyone's going to be trying to charge their phones. And if you have extra adapters at home, bring them along with you because everyone's going to forget something. Same thing with camping gear. Make sure you provide them a list of what they should bring. But with most units, we have our own stockpile of gear that's been donated over the years from previous scouters, adults phasing out gear, trying out new stuff. Make sure you have those with you as well, because no matter how well we plan, someone's going to forget something. And the other thing too that you can try with Cub Scouts that will keep them engaged, going back to a question that Fletcher posed, is show them, and again, get the Scouts PSA installed, or maybe look upon your own parents there. So for example, if you have parents or leaders that like doing hammock camping, maybe have them bring up their hammocks for the weekend and show the Scouts that these are the things that you can look forward to doing when you go into Scouts PSA. Or show them different tents or different sleeping systems, because I know we have a lot of parents out there that are prior military and they have a lot of cool outdoor gear that they still use, that they use in the military. So it's also an excellent example of giving them what you can use within scouting and what you can look forward to in scouting as well. But not only do you have to make the Cub Scouts as comfortable as possible, just make sure you make the parents as comfortable as possible, if not more, because those are the people that are going to ensure that if they like to camp out, even if their son or daughter may have a couple complaints, and they all do, if they like it and if they like the program you have, they will return. But if you don't have a program in place and if they don't feel comfortable, they will not return. It's not like with Scouts BSA where you drop them off with the scout leaders and the parents can go home for the weekend. With Cub Scouts, as we all know, the parents, if we're lucky to get both of them, it's usually one or the other that will stay for the weekend depending on work schedules and so forth. So you want to make sure they're comfortable as possible, because you have some people that this may be their very first experience.
Dave was posting some things in the chat and practicing leave no trace and the outdoor code. If you have a den chief, the den chief is a good person to start working with the Cub Scouts and have them build their leadership skills at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, I have an idea. One of the things I do when I go up for resident camp for Cub Scouts is I bring an activity box, and it's loaded with paper for like paper airplanes, coloring, whatever, and it has cards. And I kind of just leave it out in general, and I usually leave it in the Adirondacks. When the last time we were up there at camp, we ended up having shelter in place, and it was sitting right there, and the kids for, the 45 minutes that we were sheltering in the Adirondack, they all had something to do. So, I mean, we had cards, we had, like little games and stuff in there for the kids to do.
Yeah, the other thing that's cool is, like, for example, especially if you go camping up in Moses, you have so little light pollution up there. If you have someone that's into astronomy and all that, you can take the Cub Scouts at night with their parents and you can do stargazing, especially on the main parade field right near the training post. The other thing you could do is and as Jason says, like, if we all have flags, we have, as far as I know, they're all functional. Last time I looked, but all the flag poles are in and around the cabin should be functional. So make sure you bring the American flag so you can practice doing morning colors and evening colors. That's a very important part, especially when you get into Scouts PSA. But it's very good to get that ingrained into them now. So that goes back to when we do our meetings. Even though the Cub Scouts are not necessarily meant to memorize it, we get them used to doing something through repetition. And that's why in a lot of PAC meetings for openings now, we'll do Scout Law, Scout Oath, and then we'll do the outdoor code as well. The Cub Scouts don't necessarily have to memorize it, but they learn through attrition. And I'll relate that to growing up in a Catholic school. I went to a Catholic school for 8 years, and I learned all the prayers in the church through just constantly saying them. So the same thing will hold true in anything we do in scouting. It's like the earlier the scouts are exposed to this stuff, the easier it's for them to remember it and relate to it on as they go through their scouting career. Oh yeah, with Cub Scout camping, I usually don't recommend them bringing their field uniforms with them, only activity shirts, because field uniforms will get ruined. Either through camping, exploring the campsite, there will be some mishap that will ruin their field uniforms. They're not adults, they're kids. There's adults have mishaps with their uniforms, and kids is a whole different story. So keep it to what available clothing they have, plus the unit's activity shirt as well. So does anyone else have any questions or concerns?
Just going back. Oh.
What's that, please?
Just going back to keeping parents involved, kind of along with the coffee, and because the car's right there, everything's right there. One of the things, my name's Pat, by the way. I'm with PAC 57 out of Belchertown.
Yeah, I recognize you, Pat.
All right. But one of the things we've been doing, if we're doing the WOAs and get the cabin rental, the kids, they're going to fill up on, chicken we put on the grill and hot dogs. And we've generally been making things for, everyone. If the Cubs still are hungry, they can have it. But, after that, we'll do shish kebabs. And, it's a nice way to demonstrate, here's a really easy way to cook if all you have is sticks and fire. And also the parents really like that camping food. So much like having tons of coffee, that was a pretty good draw.
So what my old PAC used to do, because I was lucky with 303 out of Springfield, Mass. We had a lot of tie-ins between the PAC and the troop with leadership and parents and so forth. And what we always did was Peter Warren, whenever he went camping with us, he would always do a lot of cooking demonstrations using Dutch ovens. So he made desserts all the time. So we had lasagnas, we had stews, we had cakes, we had turnovers, and that kept the parents engaged as well by having a full stomach when they went to bed at night. And make sure when you guys go on all these campouts, I know most units will not do this until summer camp, at least have their, most units are getting better about it, because I know PAC 164 does it. They maintain other PACs I know sure do, but I know for a fact 164 does as well. They maintain a binder of all the Scouts medical records, including the parents, that they carry with them, just in case, because in that case, it's only the medical forms A and Bs. So that keeps everyone informed if there's any allergies or any medical conditions that the unit needs to be aware of or keep a lookout for. And that goes back to make sure you're properly prepared with a medical kit, and know what needs to be done while at the reservation. If you need to reach out, or anywhere you go, make sure you know where to reach out for medical help if medical help is needed. So you want to make sure you're aware of that information as well, no matter where you go.
Yeah, Rob, I'm also going to suggest that in with the first aid kit, especially with Cub Scouts, that you add a bottle of calamine lotion. We run into some things with Cub Scouts being, closer to the ground and pretty inquisitive, and not always, they'll walk up to you with a thing and say, "Is this poison ivy?"
Yeah.
So if you,
Yes.
rather than having it there in a.
Yeah, I tend to keep that stuff handy. I also have like burn cream, hydrocortisone. I carry a digital thermometer in my kit now. And just make sure you're aware of any allergies or any medications that your scouts can take, especially at the Cub Scouts BSA level. The parents can administer the medication themselves. but at least if you know of an allergic reaction in your unit, you can make sure you have the proper menu in place, or if it requires, if you see something unusual, you'll know how to react to it sooner than later.
Our thought was that we would switch gears a little bit, and we'd like to hear from some of you guys on how things are going, as far as, you know, maybe who has started to meet in person, you know, and when maybe those of you that aren't, or some of you doing hybrid, how you're doing hybrid for your troop meetings or crew meetings, if any of you guys are in crews. So to start with, I kind of opened the forum a little bit, just get some feedback. So basically unmute yourself and let it rip. I'd like to hear, I think all of us like to hear how we're doing as a group and stuff, and, you know, trips maybe that are coming up and stuff like that, you know.
Beth has had too much caffeine. You have been warned.
Perfect. That's what we want.
Last week, we started meeting in person, Troop 180 girls. Last weekend, we had a one-night camp out in the Adirondacks, which was a wonderful shakedown for the whole troop because we had not camped together in over a year. We had a crossover from last March, who's been with us more than a year, first time she had ever camped with us. That's just awful. And she's still with us, so that's great. So that's where we are. We're just getting started at getting back in person. And we have met almost every single week virtually since this started.
Nice. Nice. Thanks for sharing, Beth.
So we're Mike Slogard, Troop 500 in Amherst. We're kind of in the hybrid mode still. We're meeting every week. Our attendance has actually been really good for the Zoom meetings, and we have in-person meetings every couple of weeks, at least once a month, in place of a camp out. Our committee is not comfortable yet authorizing overnight camping, but we have done hikes, and we've been doing outdoor meetings, which gives us an extended time. We go 2.5 hours on those meetings, and I'm hoping now that we have more daylight to get the troop motivated to do some evening meetings. But attendance is good, which is a real blessing. And said with spring here and good weather, hope to get outdoors even more.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Who's up? Come on, somebody else.
I'll speak out. Gene, go ahead, and then I'll go after you.
Yep. Gene Marceau, Troop 303 in Springfield. We were hybrid in person, then went back to like a quasi-hybrid in person, mainly because our meeting area gave us the okay, then backtracked. We did have some meetings outside. The last month have been outside. They've been doing lashings, and more lashings. And they're loving it. They're learning how to build stuff. We haven't had a full troop outing at a WOA day, but we've had a good chunk of the troop go. But not in this month, because we have a big recruitment day coming up on the 24th. May and June, we are camping up there as a troop on both WOA days. So we'll be there for the whole thing, and they are itching to get there. All of them, both the boys and the girls. They can't wait to get out and do something again.
Great.
About it.
George, I'm going to speak about the crew a little bit. Just the fact that our crew basically was meeting virtually at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and we had folks attending, but it was dropping off over the time. It just sort of attendance just kept dropping off. There wasn't really a big draw for people that think about high adventure or venturing to kind of get together virtually. So we kind of made the decision to kind of fade off for a little bit until we came back. And a couple of weeks ago, we decided we're going to start meeting in person again. And we're lucky enough to have a location where we can still meet in person. So what was cool is once we started meeting in person, we started seeing those familiar faces that had sort of fallen off into the wayside coming back. And our numbers are actually starting to grow again. So they're already talking about summer activities, doing hikes and ATV trips, and even a super activity this summer. So I think the key to getting our crew kind of back in running again is just kind of getting them back to seeing each other, reminding them that they are a group, and have some opportunities to really have a lot of fun this summer. And I think I'm starting to see some pretty great response from the youth just to kind of get out there and start doing things again.
Right.
Hi everyone, I'll go. So we're from Troop 821 in Westfield, and we started with a new charter organization and being able to meet in person a couple weeks ago. That's been going really good. Our SPLs really stepped up and started meeting planning for the troop himself, which is something that we struggled with, obviously during COVID. We went on a camp out last weekend up in Moses, and it was a cooking competition, which for a lot of these scouts, I forget who said it, but they haven't been camping yet. This is the first time in a year and a half, what have you, that they've been able to go camping. Well, they had their cooking competitions. One of the patrols actually made a shrimp dish, a Cajun shrimp pasta, something or another, in a Dutch oven. And I don't know, it was a great time. And I'll tell a quick story, which I think you guys will all appreciate. One of our younger patrols was making a dessert because that was part of the competition, and it was a eggless cookie dough recipe, which again, yummy, whatever. They handed it out and we started eating it. And you could hear mumblings around the boys, something was off with this dish. And it came to the adults, and we tasted it, and immediately we knew what that taste was, and it was coffee. And we said, "Hey guys, did you put coffee in this here at night?" And they said, "No, we didn't. No, we don't have coffee. We didn't do that." We said, "Okay." And they said, "Why? What's going on?" I said, "Well, I think Hunter, my son, is going to be up really late at night." They said, "Oh my gosh, does he have an allergy? What's wrong?" I said, No, guys, I think you just use a little too much chocolate. I think you use too much of that." And one of the boys goes, "Oh, Mr. Gifford, is that why it tastes just like coffee?" And I said, "No, it's because you used coffee." And sure enough, the wife of one of our ASMs had put in a little Tupperware dish of coffee, instant coffee in the morning. The boys actually thought that was granulated sugar and had mixed it in and fed the whole troop some coffee. So I figured most of you guys would appreciate it, but we found a new way to enjoy our coffee in the morning other than having to cook it on a stove. So there's a little treat for you guys from me.
Nice. Anyone else?
I will add, this is Kara from Troop 180 Girls.
Yep.
Are also representing 180 Boys. The boys have been in person for a couple months outdoors, which has been challenging. About half the troop was coming initially. Over the course of the last month or so, there have been significantly more scouts attending in person outside. We do have the benefit of being able to meet at an outdoor location. So that's definitely made a huge difference as to whether or not, as adults, we really felt like it was safe and just functional to try and get as many scouts involved as possible without doing, the in person and trying to Zoom with the kids to keep them all engaged. So part of the reason the girls waited was because we had several families that just weren't ready. And as more adults have been able to get vaccinated, I think we've all definitely noticed across the 2 units that more scouts are willing to come and be outside and be socially distanced. So, it's definitely one of those, we live in New England. It's a little bit harder to get together every week when the wind is at 40 miles or 50 miles an hour, or, it's pouring rain. And yes, we scout no matter what the weather, but we also have to take into account the safety aspects of all of that. So it has definitely limited some of those activities, but certainly more and more in person, which is really good to see. The PLCs have been planning more outdoor activities, and they've been planning more weekend events and recruitment opportunities. So it's been really nice to see the kids are so much more engaged. It's, for all the years I've been in scouting, the kids have really stepped up, whether it's the boys or the girls, and listening to, I think it was Sean talking about, his SPL was planning. I definitely have heard more and more SPLs and PLCs that are doing a lot more of the planning, which is really nice to see. That's all.
Nice. Thank you.
This is Joe Cates,
Yep, go ahead, Joe.
Troop 504 in Amherst, small unit, but the scouts have been meeting virtually since last summer. And that initially was with a in your own backyard, in your own tent with your laptop, cookout and overnight. So it was a common menu, but you prepared it yourself in your own backyard. More recently, the troop has had hikes over to the Quabbin and back, a couple of mountains, including Mount Greylock, and that sort of thing. Currently, they're planning. The next meeting will be helping the two crossovers from Cubs to get up to Tenderfoot. So there's that kind of coordination and planning. And the Scouts, we've not had access to our charter organization. The church is closed. And so we've had to do virtual meetings and outdoor activities, outdoor activities typically once a month. But the SPL has been meeting regularly, and actually currently they've been working on STEM activities jointly. So a variety of things.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Yeah, I was going to say, I know for myself with Troop 7, we started meeting in person actually on last week. So we're back to a weekly schedule, hopefully. So, and I will say, even the PLC, I have a PLC meeting tomorrow night, crew meeting tomorrow night, PAC meeting tomorrow night I have to go to, on top of, other stuff this week with the Scouts. So it's all pretty active in this past week or two. But it's funny because we've been doing virtual at Troop 7 for quite a while. And then we've done some like outdoor activity, like in October, November, we were meeting outdoors. And then, things because of COVID, especially here in town, we stopped meeting and did back to virtual. But, it's, then we go back to meeting outdoor. We've only been doing meeting outdoors, really. We're blessed. The church is still closed, our church organization, but it's been open for use in the hall. I mean, they spent money to put, these special air cleaning systems and the air handlers and stuff. So, to make sure, trying to make it as safe as possible so we can continue to use the facility. So, I mean, in that sense, definitely blessed. So, but I know right now the troop we're focused. They're looking at, they really want to go to Valley Forge. We had it on the calendar for May. Looks like we're pushing it into June and see what we can squeeze out first or second week of June. So, so that hopefully will come to light. But yeah, I know it's been just like all of you. It's been over a year. We haven't broken bread or anything in a while. So, hopefully in the next month or so, we're thinking about doing a local camp out as a group just to get our feet wet. I know they're doing a gear shakedown on Wednesday night's troop meeting because the trailer hasn't been opened in over a year. So who knows what we'll find. So, but no, that's all good stuff. I mean, that's, I think it's important that, I find myself, tonight's topic was supposed to be leader burnout. And I will say this, in this past 2 weeks with everything going on, trying to get back to normal, like back to regular meetings. And for our troop, we've always met at the school. Well, the school isn't happening. So that's why we shifted gears, back to the church hall. And it's just a different, layout. The hall isn't as big as the cafeteria is the school. So, it's just, you just have to do things differently. And just, trying to wrap my brain around all that. And with the PLC pulling at me in 6 different directions, because they want to go. They're ready. They're sick of Zoom. They're just, who cares about COVID, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, no, it could be a stressful time. I think, we all for the next few weeks as we start to get back into the swing of things, right? You just need to, take a breather every once in a while so you don't get burnt out because it's a lot. And I would say, I mean, actually, we haven't actually two youth in town that are coming to visit the troop on Wednesday night. So I'm hoping to join, which is good too, which shows me too in the community that their parents are trying to get their kids back involved and stuff. So that's all good. Good. So we got about 10 minutes. So I want to talk a little bit about and some feedback, from you guys, a little bit about what we're looking to do possibly for next roundtable for this upcoming year. This past year with virtual has been, I think, been pretty good as a group. I think all of us around the commissioners feel that, virtual is here to stay. I don't think we want to lose the virtual part. And in a couple meetings we've had, we've been trying to figure out how do we do that. And keep in mind, our roundtable today is council-wide, and we don't want to lose that. I like the idea of hearing from, other leaders from outside of just General Knox. There's a bigger, wider family, right? And so I know as a consensus, we're definitely keeping the council roundtable unless something changes, but at this time, I think we're gonna try and keep it. And virtual seems to work in the sense that a lot of us have busy schedules. I mean, even for me tonight, I didn't get home until 20:07. So it's just one of those days, and if I had to go to Springfield, I wouldn't be at roundtable, just the way it goes. So, so there's a benefit there to a lot of us, with time restraints and travel and stuff. So, but on the other hand, we need to get back into the meeting in person. And the thought is that we would try to set a schedule up going forward where we would offer like a virtual roundtable like we're doing tonight, which we would have your classroom type stuff for a specific topic. So for example, let's say we wanted to talk about cooking, and tonight's topic is going to be foil cooking, Dutch oven cooking, and who knows what. And all the classroom stuff that would go with that cooking theme, we would discuss tonight. We could share materials about it, charts on charcoal temperature, or share recipes, or how to clean a Dutch oven, what type of foil is better than, other foil, or things like that. So basically something that we could do virtually on the screen for 20, 25 minutes. Perfect. And then that topic, the practical portion or the hands-on portion, that part of it gets tabled to another roundtable. And what I mean by tabled is that in our schedule, we will have in-person roundtable, either quarterly or every other month. I think it'll be more like quarterly, where we would meet not on a Monday night, but we would meet at Moses, where it would be a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon, whatever we choose, where we can all gather. And it's kind of would be like I envision like a round robin schedule. So one virtual roundtable was cooking, another virtual roundtable was hiking, another virtual roundtable was camping. And we table the practical portions of each one of those for this quarterly in-person roundtable that would happen on a non-Monday night, a Saturday or Sunday. And then you attend Moses at that roundtable, and basically you would go and get the practical portion of each one of those stations. Okay. This kind of the consensus was, and I like a little feedback from you guys, is that something that you would attend or not? Because the thought was, because we are council-wide and Moses is pretty centrally located, that we'd be able to gather there once a quarter or maybe once every 3 months, however the schedule plays out. And then the other ones are virtual, like I said, what we're doing here today. So this practical roundtable, yeah, we could have announcements done, but we're not doing any of this yakety yak stuff. We're, we're there to enjoy each other's company, learn something new, bring something back to the troop, bring your SPLs with you and any other youth leaders you want, get them to come. They can participate too, like they should be in roundtable. So they can bring that stuff back to their meetings, right? To share with their scouts. So that's the first thought on a roundtable. So I'm a little interested. We're interested in a little feedback on that. Is that something you guys think you
Hey, George,
participate in?
I have a question about that. Would that be something that could be scheduled? Let's go with, I wouldn't say during a WOA weekend, but maybe after WOA, like starting at 3 o'clock, because a lot of the leaders, I think, we're already up there if we're planning on going to WOA with the kids. So at that point, if scouts are going to be available, they're already going to be up there. You know what I mean? And maybe just extend the day a little bit for a couple of leaders. Because I mean, if you're talking about a roundtable activity, you're talking like an hour or two, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we're probably looking at a couple hours. I wouldn't do.
So
yeah.
Just a thought. If units are already up there, it kind of gives people an opportunity. You or anybody else that might it might take an hour to get to Moses, right?
Right.
So at that point, maybe you're already planning an activity up there, or you're camping up there, and it might get a couple more bodies.
Right. No, that's a great idea, because yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I mean, if we maybe that may be a possibility, because that also could support WOA program as well and Moses. So, you know, if you've got you guys, you know, leaders are coming up to do that in-person roundtable, you know, you make it a troop event, and you're right. You know, kids are doing their thing, and right, and then leaders can participate in their roundtable. That's not a bad idea.
Or maybe not even during WOA, maybe after,
Right,
because
after
sometimes the
WOA,
leaders like to go out and, you know,
Yep.
hang out in the axe yard or go down to the shop or do whatever
Yep.
the kids are doing, and just to be available. But
Right. Okay. Noted.
I love the idea. I think the important part for me would be, if we're going to invite youth as well, that we make sure that whatever practical thing we're doing is easy. I don't want to say easy, that's the wrong word. But that they can take it away. It's actionable. They know what they can take back to the troop and teach, and not just sit back and watch and go, oh, that was cool, but have no idea what to do next.
Right. Okay.
Like maybe we could use the edge principle there.
I think a lot of SPLs would appreciate that, especially if it's a younger troop, or they just don't have, like, we're down to 2 veteran scouts in our troop right now, you know? So that would really be good for like development, you know?
Right. A lot of times in the past, when we have youth attending roundtable, usually if they're in a meeting like that, if we're doing that practical hands-on, I usually try to rope them in, no pun intended, rope them into something to participate anyways, you know? But no, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole idea of roundtable, especially to me, the practical part, where if we're doing, like I said, lashings and things like that, or we're playing a game or something, the goal is to me is for you as leaders to, I mean, not all of us know all this stuff. So hopefully you learn a little something about foil cooking and why one side of the foil is better to wrap the food with than another side. You may not know. So, but you're right. Absolutely. Bring it back. You know, if we have youth at the meeting, we should, you know, hopefully have stuff for them to bring back to show their, you know, their youth leaders and the scouts in their program. Absolutely. Okay.
So, George, one of the things that we talked about that was missing with the virtual roundtables is the time for leaders just to get together, to connect, share experiences, commiserate, or whatever, that fellowship and networking time. So to build that into a in-person meeting would be valuable, and probably would be an incentive for leaders to spend the time to travel. I know that, you know, from parts of our district, you know, it's the better part of 2 hours to get to Moses. So the program would have to be worth 3 to 4 hours of travel time.
Well, and that's the way we looked at the original thought. And I think when we were looking at it was like every other month to do the in-person part. And then my thought was, to some of us, like myself, it's an hour ride to Moses, you know, and I don't want to drive all the way to Moses with everything else I have to do during the, you know, my time, and then spend only, you know, an hour there on the practical part of roundtable and then leave. There's no time for networking. There's no time, you know, and again, this is council wide. So there are a lot of leaders in our council that I just don't have interaction with because they're outside of General Knox, right? So I don't know, you know, a lot of other leaders that would, you know, it'd be nice to broaden my base, right? My scout base. So, so that's kind of, I agree with that. I mean, even the virtual part, Greg had already agreed to try and set up after roundtable. We can open up a classroom, you know, where you guys can gather and stuff for, you know, limited time, whatever it is, half hour stuff for those that want to. So, but I'll make I just made a note of that too.
Welcome back to the main session, everyone. Before we do questions for Greg, just a reminder that next month our Cub Scout breakout will have to do with the Summertime Award, and the Scouts BSA Venturing Sea Scout Award is going to be talking about or anticipates talking about Dutch oven cooking. Now, I want real samples, not virtual stuff. But did anybody have questions for Greg around all of the things that he presented earlier under the announcement sections, the council updates, the camping, all of those things?
I think I
Maybe
thought
I
he
can
had
ask.
answered stuff, but go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to ask, and Greg, I know you're probably corresponding with our trip already, but we had kind of committed to going to summer camp at Moses, and I think the cap caught us off guard. So now we're kind of left wondering, are we going to be able to come, or do we need to book somewhere else? And I know you probably don't have an answer to this, but do you have any idea when maybe we'll have more information or know whether there's going to be room for us? And other troops too, not just my troop, but I anticipate there are others in the same boat as me. Did I lull him into silence?
Greg?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
All right, there I am. We only got the state guidelines on the 24th. Complete surprise to everybody that capacity is going to be based on the ability to keep everyone at 6-foot interval in the hard shelter building. So we are measuring all of our spaces to determine what our capacity will be. So as soon as we have finished that, we will let folks know, Sean. We're very frustrated by it as well. So
I figured, yeah, no, it was no slight on you at all. I hope it didn't come across that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, at the end of this week, at the latest, I don't even want it to take that long. But we're going through. If you know your numbers for your groups, I encourage you to email them to me. How many youth and how many adults, and that way I have a on record and can start adding them as soon as I possibly can. Because what I don't want to do is open up registration and have another unit come in that hadn't already committed to that week and grab all those spots.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate all the work you're doing on this. I know it's a pain in your, you know.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Any other questions for Greg? Now's your shot.
Just a quick question about the NCAP requirements for 4 or more days. Is that at the unit level? If a unit is camping for 4 days,
No.
4 consecutive days, that they need an NCAP administrator, or is that just for like council activities?
No, it's for, so it's actually for less than that. It's for one to, I think it's 1 to 3 nights. So no, those are council and district events. So any activity that involves 2 or more units that are not from the same charting organization are supposed to be approved by the council and then supervised by them. But this is mostly Weeblos Woods, camporees, those types of events.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, great question.
Anybody else?
Now, it was said that there was a possibility that we're not allowed to leave camp once we're at summer camp. Is that true?
No, people can leave summer camp anytime they want under the standards. Returning to camp is something that may not be able to happen.
Sorry,
So
yeah.
I know there's 2 parts to that, Melanie. We're working through that and working with the Board of Health. Again, it's 3 months away. My theory is they said you've been asking for what the rules are going to be, so here they are, as stringent as they can be, and we'll work through it. There are some things in there. Upon arrival, you have to have a negative COVID test within 72 hours, and then we have to do a rapid test before we can allow you to enter. So some of those things are things that we're looking at. Nobody has to even come back in. What are the options? And to work with the Board of Health to allow the adults. Maybe the adults are a slightly different category than the youth campers, but I don't know the answers to that.
So Greg, as of right now, do you know if the negative COVID test is needed even if you have the vaccine?
I would need to read through the
Okay,
document.
I was just curious. I didn't know if you knew it or not.
Ooh, that's going to be an influx for everywhere doing the tests for all camps opening up, you know, the YMCA and everything.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess
I will
that's,
say the camp guidelines are available on the state website. They're hard to find, but if you go to our reopening document online, it is linked in the resource notes there, and it was on the slide, which will be on the video. I'll find it for everybody.
okay. All right. So just a quick reminder, our next roundtable is on Monday, May 3rd, and now I will pass it to Matt Tassinari for our closing.
Thanks, Ellie. I'm just going to share my presentation here. So I know we had Greg talking a little bit this morning, the beginning of the meeting about the outdoor code and some of our commitment to conservation as part of Earth Month. Well, I just wanted to kind of review the outdoor code and kind of what that means for us. So we have all seen the outdoor code, and we learned a little bit about the history that we've actually had a version of the outdoor code since the 50s as part of Scouts. This is the current version, and we've all seen, as an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. I'd like to just kind of go over what some of those mean just a little bit. So to be clean in my outdoor manners, I will treat the outdoors as a heritage. I will take care of it for myself and others. I will keep my trash and garbage out of lakes, streams, fields, woods, and roadways. I don't know if anyone's gone on a road, a walk along the sides of their roads, but the ones near me are pretty bad at this point, and I could picture that our summer of service might be a good opportunity to do some roadside cleanups. Be careful with fire. I will prevent wildfire. I will build my fires only when and where they are permitted and appropriate. When I have finished using a fire, I will make sure it is cold out. I will leave a clean fire ring or remove all evidence of my fire. We all know the devastating things that can happen with wildfires, and it can be a terrible situation if that happens. And I know that our scout units are good about keeping fires contained and to their appropriate size, etc. To be considerate in the outdoors, I will treat the land and other land users with respect. I will follow the principles of the outdoor ethics for all outdoor activities. Let's remember that we share the woods with not only each other, but animals, and we are going to do our best to follow the guides of Leave No Trace. And finally, to be conservation minded, I will learn about and practice good conservation of soil, waters, forests, minerals, grasslands, wildlife, and energy, and I will urge others to do the same. We as Scouts do our best to learn and kind of practice these things, but we should also be encouraging others that we meet in nature to be careful of conservation, water, minerals, grasslands, etc. Why not go above and beyond and teach another unit, another group that we meet in the woods about how to be more careful with nature. Thank you.